back, baby.
Offense, you know what to do.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Get me Tennessee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 1796 Sports Podcast. I'm your host, NormalVolFan, joined alongside with my boy Ryan. What a weekend it was for Vol sports, all sports, softball, baseball, you name it. But we're going to get right into the baseball series against the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Vols going into this, when we talked about it on the last podcast, they needed a sweep to even have a chance to win the SEC. And they did it. Ryan called it. He's the one that said we're gonna sweep these guys, and the Vols played really well. But I want to get Ryan's input on what he thought of this series this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I did kind of predict this. But it's not my fault we won. It's the team's fault because they played excellent. I mean, there was a little blip there on Friday night when they were booting the ball around and giving up some unearned runs to get down 3-0. But then they exploded in the later innings and took care of business. And then Saturday's game was just a pitching masterclass by anybody who pitched on that day. So I'm very proud of the team. Another SEC title in another sport. This now marks the first time in history that an SEC school has won men's basketball, softball, and a baseball championship in the same year. So it's just we talk about it all the time, just historic what's happening at Tennessee right now. It's crazy, and I could not be happier.
God, and if we could only do it in football, that'd be that'd be the icing on the cake to me. But no, you're right. I mean, team played their heart out. I mean, like you said, Thursday. You had people botching the ball around. You had Simo, he made a mistake early. And, even the game Drew was pitching, he told Drew, hey, that's on me. I'm going to make up for it. Next at bat, what'd he do? Hit a home run. I mean, this is the type of team that can make a run in these playoffs and get you to that end goal of a national championship. And speaking of Christian Moore, I feel like he's hands down. Actually, I'm not going to say hands down, but to me, in SEC play, this kid is the SEC Player of the Year. I mean, he leads 2 of the 3 Triple Crown categories in SEC play. Charlie Condon only, I think, has what? I think he has slugging percentage or whatever.
A better average.
Yeah, by only a little too. Simo has one more home run. And I think they're tied in RBIs. So, but overall, SEC play, Christian Moore is dominated. And he did that this weekend. I mean, other than, a couple mistakes, which is, it's going to happen. It's baseball. But he made up for it in every way. I mean, even the leadership he showed, getting these guys to rally around and make that comeback later in the game. So, all around this team is fantastic, fun, really fun to watch. You can tell it's like a brotherhood for this team. Really looking forward to the SEC tournament, though. And I know you wanted to bring this up for coming up for the tournament, but we'll talk about that when we get into it with AJ Russell. But what else? What else did you see from this weekend that is a really good sign for the postseason?
I think the number one thing that if he could replicate that performance again is Xander Sechrist going 6 scoreless innings. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, it's been a while since Sechrist has pitched that well. And if he could stack those performances like in the postseason with Russell possibly coming back, I mean, it's going to be really hard to beat Tennessee. And the other thing is, I was very happy to see Blake Burke hit a home run for the first time I think it's been a week or two. I mean, it's been a hot minute, and he rocketed that grand slam that put us up for good on Friday night. So that was another thing that I was happy to see.
Yeah, an absolute Burke missile all the way to center field in the rain was just. I mean, he gave Tony Vitello the suck it sign. I mean, I don't know how he didn't get tossed for that, but kudos to the umpires for not looking.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, I agree. I think Blake Burke was due. Another guy that I think is due that is, I think, good for the postseason coming up is Curley. I mean, the guy's
Yep.
so due for a game. I mean, we've seen him hit 3 home runs in a game, almost 4 for the home run cycle. And I mean, I feel like there's a bunch of guys that need to show up come in this postseason. He's one of them. And then we got to figure out the DH spot. I feel like that's a huge thing. But I mean, Tony knows what he's doing. He plays to what's going to work best for that game. But we'll see. I think that's like my biggest concern for this is, especially if you have AJ Russell coming back, you don't have a lot of, bad spots for this, postseason other than a DH, and hopefully AJ Russell is at full strength.
Yeah. I mean, for me right now, who I want at DH is Cannon Peebles because he gets on base. Like that's the simple reason. And as I think I said it last episode, I mean, when you're near the bottom of the lineup, which is where our DH is going to fall, and you got Christian Moore leading off, if you're getting on base, that's pretty big. Like anybody can get on base in front of Christian Moore is probably going to score at least half the time.
Oh yeah.
So, just somebody who gets on base. Like that's all I asked for, and I think Peebles is the best man for that at this point. Another thing I wanted to bring up is Hunter Inslee. Just continuing to, merit him being moved up in the lineup ahead of Kavar's Tears. Like that was new for this weekend. I don't think we've done that this year yet. And he just came through with a huge go-ahead 3-run home run on Friday night to chase their starter, who pitched very well, by the way. I was impressed with that kid.
Oh yeah, he did.
And until shit hit the fan, which is likely to happen against Tennessee. So that's another thing. Hunter Inslee.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And talk about that one pitcher. He didn't have one game this season that he went over 5 innings. That was his first one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. I mean, like you said, Hunter Hensley came out. He's been, other than Christian Moore, he's been the most clutch Tennessee ball on that baseball team. I mean, the Florida series with his gazillion RBIs, the taking the lead home run. I mean, all in all, his defense, he's really good in the outfield. You can't ask for more. And he's a really good, most of his at-bats are really good. It's like he walks or he hits the ball somewhere. So it's really good to see. And that's another guy that, come the postseason, he's been there. And that's going to really come into play when you get to the regional, the super regional, hopefully, and really hopefully you get to Omaha. You want those guys that have been there before. So I think that's huge, and I think he's getting hot at the right time.
Yeah. And you mentioned Christian Moore. I mean, if you're really just looking at, like, I understand this is not how the award works, but if you're looking at SEC Player of the Year, in my mind, why wouldn't it be the best player in SEC play? I know that's not how the award works, but if you look at the splits, you already went over them. He leads both Condon and Caglione in a lot of them during SEC play. I mean, it's incredible. Like, for me, I really think this. Like, I'm trying to take out bias here. If I was looking at that as just a reporter of, say, I don't know, whatever team you want to pick, Mississippi State, and I had a vote, I would take that into account. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%. You're absolutely right. I think overall he's been the guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, Charlie Condon is honestly, he's not human, but I also think Christian Moore is the same way. I mean, I think about it though. Christian Moore you got to think about it. He's batting leadoff. He doesn't have the guys in front of him half the time where he's hitting these home runs. Imagine if he's batting where Billy Amick is and people are getting on base. He's destroying Charlie Condon's numbers. Charlie Condon is what, batting third, and those guys get on base. He just hits two run home runs, and it just there's a big difference. I'm not taking anything away from Charlie Condon. 35 home runs is ridiculous, but you're 100% right. That's that, and I'll end that there.
Yeah, I mean, Condon is going to be the SEC Player of the Year. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I do think if I was a voter, I would definitely vote more ahead of Caglione. Like, that's just how I would look at it. But I just hope that he can continue because he's been smoking hot for like 3 weeks now. I just hope he can continue that into the postseason.
Well, like I said, I mean, he's another guy that's been there before, and Tennessee's going to have home field advantage for this postseason, and you got to take advantage of that. 2 years ago we didn't take advantage of that, and as long and we'll talk about it now. I mean, AJ Russell, if he's fully healthy and isn't limited to 50 pitches, we saw him in the first game of the season in the showdown. The dude's an absolute stud when healthy. And with this lineup, Drew Beam and Xander Sechrist, if he could pitch 4 good innings, I mean, you got AJ Causey, Nate Snead, I mean, Combs, and Kirby. I mean, you got the tools to do it. And, Christian Moore is obviously the leader of the pack. But between Moore, Amick, Tiers, Burke, Dreiling. I mean, you can name them all. All these guys deserve, the shout out. But yeah, I think overall this team, you have it right in front of you. I just hope they just don't do what they did with Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I'm going to choose to live in my dreams and not my fears. So. But the thing about AJ Russell, even if he is limited to whatever amount of pitches, him coming out of the bullpen, just another arm back there, is massive because he has the best swing and miss stuff on the team. The only one that I could think of that's close is probably Nate Snead. Like he has the best swing and miss stuff. I mean, it's simple, and him, coming in a jam in later innings when you're trying to hold on to a lead, it's massive. So whatever we can get out of him, it's going to help. Like it's going to be huge. And whatever happens in the SC tournament, whoever his outings go, if he gets more than one, I'm just looking at it as a dry run for the true postseason. Like, I'm not going to be too concerned how he looks. I'm just going to take everything with a grain of salt and then hope he's going to be ready in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah. I mean, when do we find out what our draw looks like for the postseason? Is it after the SEC tournament?
Yeah, it'll be on Sunday night, next Sunday night. So,
all right, yeah. So, so the SEC tournament's going to be this whole weekend coming up.
Yeah, it starts Tuesday, I believe. And
Tuesday to what, Sunday? Or Tuesday to Saturday?
Tuesday to Sunday. So okay. Tennessee will be playing the winner of Vanderbilt or Florida. And I wanted to bring this up just before we move off of baseball. Shout out to Vanderbilt. Thank you, Commodores, for beating Kentucky at least once. I know it didn't go well in the first 2 games for them. They gave up 27 runs and only scored 12, but they took care of business on Saturday up there in Lexington. So, and again, that got us the SEC title, our share of the title.
Hey, they got a big asterisk next to their title because I don't care what any Kentucky fan says. You guys are not the SEC champions. You literally lost to the team that you're tied with. So, at home, Yeah, so you could have this whole thing on Twitter and talk your game and think you're tough or whatever, but I mean, we're up 2-1, and honestly, I kind of hope we see them in the SEC tourney and beat them again.
That would be delicious. And anybody that's the least bit unbiased understands that Tennessee is the true champion. And I've seen Kentucky fans talk about how in 2018 for basketball, we shared a title with Auburn, even though they beat us in the regular season. Any Tennessee fan that is, can keep a straight face knows that, Auburn was really the champions. I think a lot of Tennessee fans could admit that, even though we have a banner.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's pretty simple. You're not really the champions if you lost to the team you're tied with. End of story. So
listen, when Arkansas fans are defending Tennessee,
oh yeah,
you know who the real champion is.
Yeah, because Arkansas baseball fans can't stand Tony Vitello. So
well, I mean that's their actual dad. So, but I mean you couldn't have said any better than you just did. I mean, if they beat us 1-2, I'd be saying the same thing. I'd be telling you yeah, we're co-champions, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I think anybody who's not just the most biased person you've ever seen would admit that. And I think, like I said, a lot of Tennessee fans see that from 6 years ago in basketball. So it is what it is. But main point, shout out to Vanderbilt. Thank you.
And I don't think you'd ever catch a, Tennessee fan ever saying that. But yeah, I mean, and then hey, we might get a taste of Andy again. We'll see. I don't know. What do you think about our draw for the SEC tourney?
Well, you can't complain much when you're the number one seed. But probably, I mean, it's the SEC baseball tournament, so no matter what seed you're playing, it's going to be a decent team. And
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, Vanderbilt and Florida, we've both seen, are capable of beating Tennessee. So it'll be a tough game, but that's any game in the tournament. So, well,
yeah, like you said, I mean, anybody in the SEC could beat anybody in the SEC on any given day. Your bats might not have it, your pitcher might not have it, your defense might not have it. There's so many, little things that go into baseball that a lot of people that are usually I know a lot of people, Tennessee fans are, fans of every sport, but I mean, there's a lot of people that just watch Tennessee football. There's a lot of people that just watch baseball, and there's a lot of people that just watch basketball. But there's so much into this to where if we lose game, let's say, we lose game 1 and, all that, you can't take it with a grain of salt. You want your guys healthy for the real tournament. It's the same thing as basketball. You know what? We got knocked out first game. Me and Ryan were there. Trust us, it sucked. But, you want to make a run in the tournament, which we did. We came up short in basketball, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's, who would you rather play, though? Would you rather play Florida or Vanderbilt?
I mean, I'd rather play Vanderbilt because I just don't think. I mean, Vanderbilt, their main issue is they can't score a lot. 12 runs is one of their highest outputs of the year in Saturday's game against Kentucky. So I'm very much more in favor of playing a team like Vanderbilt because Florida is capable of keeping up with us offensively. So give me the doors.
So just so everyone knows, am I correct? Where it's a 1-game show. Whoever wins the 1 game.
Well, yeah, it's a double elimination tournament.
Right, but it's if Florida plays Vandy, loser goes to the losers bracket.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. But wait, do they actually know? Because I feel like whoever loses Vandy Florida, they're done, right?
I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I'm pretty sure.
Well, I'm looking at it, and I don't see a game 3. But anyway, I do want to run through the bracket really quick. Nothing super in depth, but I want to go through and see how you think this will fare out. So I'm going to go with game one, okay? Georgia LSU. Who you got in that game?
Georgia. They're probably the hottest team in the country.
Yep, I agree. And I think Kentucky's going to have a rough road in the SEC tournament. They have a very, very tough road either way because, I mean, LSU is not – they have turned it around a little bit. And, either way, but I agree. I think Georgia's going to take this one. But anyways, you got Alabama, South Carolina.
I think Alabama will win that.
I agree. I think after getting swept by Tennessee, South Carolina definitely is in the dumps, and I don't blame them. Between their whole coaching thing and, like I said, getting swept, it's a tough way to come back and make a run. But you already said Vandy's going to beat Florida. Mississippi State versus Ole Miss. I mean, I think this is going to be a good game in itself.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, before we get on the next matchup, first round is single elimination. You are correct. From then on out,
that's what I thought.
From then on out, it's double until the semifinals. So that's how it goes.
Gotcha.
But Vanderbilt and Florida. I'll ask you this time. Who is Tennessee going to play?
I honestly think Florida's the better team. I think Vandy is just obviously it's not the Vandy we're used to. I think Florida is just a little bit better, and I think Tennessee runs into Florida for our first game of the tourney. But it could go either way. I mean, both teams are really struggling for the most part, but I just think Florida has the better team.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've already said I'd rather see Vanderbilt, so you know who I think is going to win and who would be the tougher matchup. And then
Mississippi State.
Yeah,
I think Mississippi State's going to win. I think Mississippi State is easily the better team, but Ole Miss has also been on a little bit of a heater. I mean, they've been playing pretty well for the most part, but again, I think Mississippi State takes this one and faces A&M.
Yeah, I mean the Egg Bowl, except on the diamond. I mean, it is a rivalry. I mean, you got two talented teams. I mean, those two teams will always be talented. It's just if they can put it together or not. And one team has done it more this year in Mississippi State, so I'll agree with you there. So,
well, then you got Kentucky versus Georgia. That's a tough one. It really is.
That's like, Kentucky, because of what happened on Saturday, them, losing 12-4 to Vanderbilt, got themselves a pretty damn tough draw. So, because they would have been the 1 seed and we would have been the 3 seed. So, I mean, that's going to be a crazy good game. I think Kentucky does squeak that out, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bang out of a game. I think both these teams are just going to put up a bunch of runs, and I'm on the opposite side. I think Georgia's just super hot right now, and I think this is the game that is like the end of their hot streak. But they squeak by Kentucky. But we're going to say Kentucky going forward here. I think. Pitching wise, I think Kentucky's a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean Arkansas, Alabama. I'm taking Arkansas. I mean,
yeah, I'm on the same page. I think Arkansas's pitching's too good to lose to an Alabama team. That's after they were the only team that beat us this year in the series, even though it was at their home field. But I just think Arkansas will easily win this game. I think it'll be like a 6-1 type game.
Yeah, just before we move on, I remember after that series, people were writing us off after 3 games in the SEC, and look where we are now. Look at us.
Yeah, exactly. You can't ever take these, this tournament too seriously. I mean, yeah, do you want to win it? Absolutely. But yeah, I think Tennessee is sitting in a good spot. But we'll say, all right, Tennessee is going to be facing, what do we say, Florida or Vanderbilt?
Florida, yeah.
Okay, so facing Florida. Honestly, I think Tennessee wins this game just because. Jack Caglione's not going to be pitching. Yeah, he's coming off a game on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
So he won't be pitching, most likely. Wouldn't be surprised if he did, but I think Tennessee wins this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee. Yeah, I agree. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, we're better than Florida.
I think either way it goes, I think Tennessee wins.
Yeah, yeah. And then you got Texas A&M versus Mississippi State.
I think A&M wins it. I think Mississippi State just beat them in a series. I don't think it happens again.
Yeah. And then let's go from the bottom up now. Let's do Tennessee versus what the hell? Tennessee versus
Game 6, so we'd be playing Arkansas.
I'm saying winner game 7, which would be us. Winner
Oh
game
yeah,
8.
Game 6. Okay, so we'd be playing A&M.
That
That would be a great fucking game.
that has potential to be both teams scoring over 10 runs. So I mean,
Potentially. I mean, we've seen A&M put 10 runs in an inning. And we've seen Tennessee do it too. I mean, like you said, I think it's going to be a really good game. It's tough. I'm trying not to be biased. It all depends on who's pitching that day.
yeah, and you'd expect it to be Drew Beam, which
I don't know, because I'm going to bring that up right now before we keep going in this bracket. But who's pitching game 1?
I would say we go with the Stamos and Kazi approach and just keep it the same.
You think they'll have enough rest?
Yeah, because they pitched on Thursday. And
See, I wouldn't be surprised if we pitch AJ Russell that game.
Yeah, I mean, in these tournaments, a lot of teams do change things up a little bit, so it wouldn't surprise me. But I do think no matter who goes, I think we'll have a slight edge in pitching. So I'm going to say Tennessee wins that game too.
Wow. Okay. All right. So Tennessee moves on. A&M, loses. So we have the winner of Game 5. So Kentucky versus Arkansas, and these two played each other earlier in the year, and Kentucky took it. Am I right?
Yes, Kentucky won that series in Lexington.
Well, I hate to tell them they ain't doing it again. I think Arkansas wins.
I tend to agree. I mean, Arkansas has probably the best pitching staff in the country, top to bottom, and I think they're going to want to beat Kentucky after what happened. I mean, because Arkansas, if they win that series, they're co-champions. I mean, you never know, but they're probably co-champions. I mean, that it kind of set them on a little skid there. So I think they're going to want to get back at them. So I'm going to agree. Arkansas wins that.
All righty. Moving on. Will be loser of Game 8. So it would be Mississippi State versus loser of Game 7. So we'll just say it's Florida.
Yep.
I think Mississippi State wins that.
I guess that would be the game Caglione would pitch.
You would assume, yeah. You would assume it'd be Caglione that game.
Yeah. I
just think Florida's just down this year, dude. And it's not just because it's Florida. Like, I know we hate Florida and all that. I just think it's just a down year, and I think Mississippi State just will take it.
I think I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with these tournaments. I mean, whatever we say, none of it's going to happen. It's there's potential for everything we've just said to not happen. But I mean, that's just how the SC tournament goes, because we've already talked about it. It's just anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Exactly. And I guarantee you we're going to be super wrong on this bracket. I guarantee it. But, it like he just said, it's just who has it that day. And, and going into this game is going to be a bang out. It'd be Georgia versus Alabama. I think Georgia wins that game. I think that's an easy pick.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, I picked Georgia to beat Kentucky. I mean, I picked Kentucky to beat Georgia just because I think since everybody thinks Georgia's going to win, I think it won't happen. I mean, it's just how I'm like because again, the tournament is so crazy. But if Georgia were to be in that loser bracket game, I would pick Georgia for sure.
All right, this would be definitely, and we're going back to the bottom here. So it would be a Tennessee versus Arkansas battle.
That would be hilarious. It would be fun. I mean, I think Arkansas. I think a lot of teams hate us, but I think Arkansas probably hates us the most as far as baseball goes. And I don't know. At that point, the pitching is probably even. You know, I'm going to say Arkansas probably has the advantage at that point in pitching, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tennessee drops that game.
Yeah, because I feel like we'll be relying on our bullpen a lot.
Yeah.
But not saying that they've done fantastic recently, but we'll give it to Arkansas. I think you're not wrong. I definitely think Arkansas should take that game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it would be okay. So bear with us because we're trying to do this without, writing this down. But it would be the winner of Game 7. That was us. Okay, so it'd be winner of okay. Hold on. It's so confusing how they have it put. So Game 7 and Game 8. So that's A&M and us. We beat A&M.
So if we beat A&M, we would be the winner of Game 12. So we would play the winner of Game 14, which would be the winner of Game 10 versus the loser of Game 12. So that would be A&M versus motherfucking.
I say we botched this shit.
Yeah, this is hard to not.
All right, we're at this point, and we're not cutting none of that. We're at this point in this bracket. Tennessee would lose its first game. I don't see Tennessee winning this tournament, and that's not saying they can't, but it's gonna be really tough. Depending on AJ Russell, I think if AJ Russell's healthy, we have a really decent chance. If I were to pick any team to make a run here, is Arkansas.
Yeah. I think that's because when you talk about a tournament like this, I mean, the pitching, I mean, whoever has the depth in pitching, when you're talking about playing 4 games in 5 days, if you're the winner, I mean, it's going to come down to pitching, and I think Arkansas has the best staff. So.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and they have great bats too. Not no nothing against them, but anyways, yeah, you got a tough schedule ahead going into the SEC tournament. I just want us to stay healthy. But you have anything else you want to talk about with whatchamacalled baseball? Sorry, I'm lost after that bracket.
Yeah, it's confusing when you're not writing it down, so apologies for that. But it just goes to show that the tournament is crazy. Crazy shit's going to happen. And, I could see Tennessee winning it. I'm not going to cry if they don't because, like we said last episode, we want national championships at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was happy to see us win the SEC in the regular season, but I'm asking for more at this point. So win it or lose it, I don't care. All I know is the 1 year we did win both, we lost in the Super Regional. So that's all I got to say.
Well, all right. I mean, we definitely have to start with the Lady Vols. The Lady Vols softball team has pretty much destroyed their regional. I mean, the bats were hotter than ever. And, I mean, Pickens is just one of the greatest pitchers I've seen in a long time. I don't know about you, but It's just absolutely bonkers how good she is.
Yeah. I mean, she's incredible. But I think the story of the Lady Vols regional, like it's hard. It's very hard to not give up a run in a game. It's even harder to not give a run in 3 straight games in the postseason. I don't care what you want to say about these teams we played. I mean, we played Virginia twice and Dayton once. They made the postseason. So they had to score to get there. And we shut out every single game. Like, that's the story. Like, if the pitching is that good the rest of the way, you can go ahead and put our name on a banner.
Well, and Virginia smoked Miami. They beat Miami what 12-0, and then they come in and just got hammered 2 games in a row. I mean, they couldn't score a run. So I think, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of super talented, softball teams that we will face in the tournament or in the super regional, but Alabama has no chance. We swept them, correct?
Let me go look.
I'm pretty sure we swept them.
They might have taken a game from us, but don't just let me go find it. I'll let you know. We lost 1 game, and it was 1-0.
Oh yeah, that was the game where we just didn't have the bats, and I said it in a previous podcast. I definitely reiterate this, that if Tennessee scores 3 runs, it's really hard to beat them. It's really hard to beat them because the pitching and the defense is so good. Between Gottschall and Pickens, man, I think they could themselves lead us to a title. But like I said, you got a lot of good teams, so it's going to be interesting. But I think, like you said, if they're hitting on all cylinders, they're a very tough team to beat. Like I said, Pickens, shout out to you, because one of the best softball pitchers I've seen in a long time.
She's awesome. I mean, it's like you said, the team is top to bottom good. I mean, you don't win the SEC without that being the case. And I agree. I think they're bound to make it back to the Women's College World Series.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So we'll be going forward and be facing Alabama, correct?
I believe so.
I'm looking at the bracket right now, but they don't have it like actually etched out. So it's okay. Yeah. So we'll be facing Alabama to go to the College World Series. I'm pretty sure it's a best of 3. Yeah, it is a best of 3. And we beat them in a best of 3, obviously, already this season. I expect it to be, in my opinion, I think it should be a quick 2-0 and Tennessee onto bigger and better things. But I love Tennessee's draw. I don't know if you're looking at the bracket like I am, but right now, realistically, so on our side of the bracket, we have us in Alabama, UCLA and Georgia, and Missouri and Duke. Those are all teams that I could see us beating. And Oklahoma as well, but I think Oklahoma will be facing Auburn or Florida State. There's a couple games still happening, but Tennessee's got in a good spot to get to the World Series.
Yeah. I mean, the Diamond Sports in Knoxville right now are clicking on all cylinders. And I think, this time in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about Tennessee's super regional matchup. We'll be talking about Lady Vols already in the World Series. We'll be talking about a lot more success on the Diamond, the smaller one and the bigger one here soon.
Oh yeah, and like I said earlier, I hope football could turn it around. I really do. But other than that, there's not really much to talk about. We're getting to that point in the off season, with football, to where we're very, very close. I did want to ask you a question. What team are you going to be bringing to a national title in the new football game? That's what I want to know.
I'll probably start with Middle Tennessee.
That's everyone's answer in Tennessee. I get it, but I feel like I feel like I'm gonna go with like an East Carolina.
Mm,
Nice little purple and gold.
yeah. I've seen a lot of App States. I've seen a lot of Kent States. I've seen a lot of states. So I'm going to keep on with the state trend. I mean, East Tennessee State. You know.
Hey, yeah, that's nice. I mean, there's so many options, dude. I don't know if you've seen the reveal, but it is. It does look like Madden a lot. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun one. We're getting to, like I said, we're in that point in the off season of football. Baseball is almost over. Softball is almost over, and we're almost to the part of where we don't have anything. So our podcast will probably be a little bit shorter than normal, but we're just getting closer and closer to football season and more recruitments. We'll have a lot of probably smaller podcasts on certain recruits, and it's going to be really fun to cover. Tennessee's in the running for a lot of really good high tier recruits for football. I don't know if you saw, but Ethan Utley, in-state 4-star defensive lineman, was the MVP, the defensive MVP for Rivals Camp. So that's always a good thing to hear. And you could obviously tell he's very excited to be a Vol, wearing his Vol gloves and saying "Go Vols" at the end of everything. So that's always a really good sign to see.
Absolutely. And before we sign off here, I just want to drop a little bomb on you. As far as football for next year, I'm very excited to watch some actual good quarterback play. Go Vols.
Go Vols, baby.